I think we're online. Hello and welcome to the webinar exclusively for the Lifestyle Design Convention alumni people. We're just going to wait up for a few minutes. I actually realized 45 minutes ago that we have this webinar, so it's going to be very structured and extremely professional. I'm also welcoming Michael Lassen at the other end. Hello, Michael.
Hey, Kai, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. We already have one person in there. Yay! And this Pascal.
Well,
Pascal. Yeah.
Actually, let's start by talking about learning lessons, because what what we I think learned the hard way this time for this first follow-up webinar was that it's not enough to have a good idea or even to have the right idea and a very valuable idea, etc. You have to not only market it, but you also have to follow up on it.
Yes.
And we didn't do that.
No, not at all. Yeah, that's very true. I've seen it with a lot of products that I put up. Also with the Lifestyle Design Convention. Like my most important lesson is like you have to inform people and let people know again and again and again, because we just forget, or simply we have so much things going on in our lives. So if you want to get any idea out there, don't think you just will like put out one video or something and everything will go viral instantly. You have to be persistent on and on again. So for the people out there, we have a chat function. So if you guys want to ask, or if Pascal, if you want to ask any question, please feel free to just write in the chat window. Otherwise, we start with our own learnings. And the challenges that we had so far since the convention. So, like, I know you had a few coaching after the convention. What were your biggest learnings so far, Michael, from the Lifestyle Design Convention?
Well, I would say that from the workshop I did, the 1.5 hour, where I had planned initially to do a very specific training. And then I realized that the other speakers were going to do more Q&A and interactive, and I felt complete group pressure. No, just kidding. No, I actually saw that as an opportunity of being able to do that myself, which is something I absolutely love. And what was interesting was that that I just gave up on any preconceived ideas, agendas, and basically just had the intention that, hey, I was going to be there for them and I was going to do whatever I could to change those people's lives. And it ended up really amazing. And there was, I had 2 people up, as some of you probably saw, 2 people up in front of the room, and both said that their lives had been changed after that. One was 5 minutes, one was 10 minutes. And then the interesting thing is, in terms of business and marketing, was that I didn't sell any coaching. I didn't have any intention of selling coaching, but the result was that a lot of people wanted it after seeing what was possible. And the feedback I got, that it was specifically because they saw those 2 people who were up in front of the room, and they saw, wow, something really incredible happened for both of them, and they could see it wasn't planned, it wasn't scripted or anything, and potentially it could have gone wrong. And I'm not even sure I would recommend that to other people to do something similar, because if it had gone wrong, I would have looked really bad, and I knew that either the DVDs or the online recordings would go out to a lot of people. So in hindsight, it was a fairly big risk to take. But if I had to do it anywhere, and I wouldn't mind doing it anywhere really, but it was specifically really cool for this convention, because the value of honesty and transparency and authenticity is so big. So it was such a nice thing to see that you could actually get a lot of clients from just giving value.
Yeah.
Because that's not what I sort of was brought up with in the marketing world. It was quite the opposite. So it was really satisfying to sort of go, you actually can do that, to some of my former mentors.
Yeah.
So that was a big takeaway from the conference, and then like you said, on Monday I had some sessions with some people which were really great, and it was great to have the opportunity of following up on some of the things that had been started during the conference.
Yeah.
So that's also what we're going to talk about today is how to follow up, how to follow through, how to keep the momentum and actually implement things so that it's not only, and I would say put big quotations mark only that the event was an inspiration and things like that. That's great too, and that has a lot of value. And what's even better is that if it leads to something specific.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's to follow through. I think it's the challenge is to see that to follow through in the first place, you have to do something you like. So if you're not like I hear a lot of people saying like I don't have the persistence to follow through with it, and now with the convention that I organized and was yeah, I can say very successful already the first time. The reason for that being is because I did something that I really like doing.
Mm.
Like so if you start something that you're passionate about, that you love. For me, I'm a self-improvement freak. I love having people around who are into self-growth, self-development, stuff like that. And I just wanted to create something that is around that. So for me, it was also egoistic. Like I wanted to have a lot of people around me who are similar, and at the same time I could feel that deep need or that deep urge within me to help others. And if you go from something where you can feel it's really in line with where your heart is and where your motivation is, the following through will be easier, but it will be not as easy as you might imagine. So
yeah,
there still needs to be, for me, I could feel there still needs to be some, yeah, sometimes I needed to have some fear too. Like I thought, like, what will happen if the room will be empty? What will happen? And that sometimes motivated me too to take action. But the most inspired action I always took, and there I have to correct myself a little bit, the most inspired action I always took when it just like, when I could feel the intention of I wanted to work and when I followed it instantly. When I just like, whether it was in the night or whenever it was, when I had a thought, I was like, okay, let's follow up on that. And that really brought me the most inspiring and the most things with the biggest leverage. One example would be having you as a marketing advisor. I decided that within 10 seconds. And it so far it has been a good idea. And as well as like connecting with Morten Hake, it was just something that came to my mind somehow, and I just did it. And I spent an awesome week with Morten, and so much opportunities came out of it. So following that intuition is also very important. It's been a little bit all over the place. But yeah.
No, but what you talk about is what was mentioned a couple of times during the conference, and I talked a lot about the speed of implementation.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you did. Is that you implemented that, and then that is the number one thing that very successful people have in common, and there's obviously a reason for that.
That's so interesting. So there is the thought that you have or the idea that you have, right? And then there's like the taking action part.
Yeah.
And a lot of times what is in between those two is the need to be perfect, right? And so that keeps you away a lot of times from doing it. Perfect example, this webinar. We thought about like, should we do it, should we not do it? Because there were not so many people sign up. We haven't prepared perfectly for it. And at the same time, we can feel like we want to give value, and we know it's still better to do it. There will be still more people profit from it if we do it. Even though it's not going to be as perfect, if maybe we would have had a more marketing before, or more telling people more, we would have more of a structure. Who knows, right? But it's, for me, that lifestyle design convention project was, for me, one learning was fuck perfectionism. It's not going to help you anyway. It's just going to limit you from what you actually want to do. Like, just if you feel like you're not going to do it at all, you have the decision between you making it imperfect or you're not going to do it at all. Always choose the imperfect thing, because you're going to learn so much. I learned so much from those projects that we had right now.
Yeah, and one of the other things that I really took away from the conference, which also ties a little bit into perfectionism, is that the importance of having fun with what you do. And the more perfectionistic you are, typically the less fun you have. And and one of the things that actually led to me changing course a little bit in my life and business was the fact of how much fun I had just being in the room. Because I had planned more so to go in an online direction and not be as reliant on going out to conferences and speaking and do workshops outside of Denmark. But I realized, no, this is not only what I think is fun, it's also what I'm really good at being in front of people and doing live demonstrations and things like that. And then the other thing that was really interesting was that it wasn't actually a coaching session, it was just during dinner that there was one of the guys there who talked about he wanting to set up projects that would give him passive income.
Mm-hmm.
And I just noticed that when he said those words, passive income, that his energy dropped, that it was weakening him. So I decided to do the energy test that I showed in my workshop, and I just asked him to say, okay, just say the word passive income. And he was completely weak. I could do it with my little finger, and he would try to resist everything I could. There was just nothing there. And then I reframed it and talked about, well, what is value? And what is value that you can give people? And there's value in reading a book and getting insights or how to step by step. And I basically reframed it so he had the mindset that, oh, you can provide people with value, with tools, with insights that they need in order to get to the next step. And when he thought about that, he could think about one of the same projects, but he would be strong and feel empowered by thinking about it like sharing value. But when he thought about it as passive income, there was nothing there.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized, well, he's probably not the only one who think about it like that. And again, that's connecting with fun. That's connecting with, you know, your big why you want to do it. And hopefully a big part of that is the difference it will make to other people. And the beautiful thing is that one of the biggest secrets to why you want to be teaching anyone in the first place is that if you want to master, not perfect, but master your subject, you have to teach it to other people.
Yeah.
So a lot of those things really clicked for me, and it was such a good reminder to be next to that guy at dinner who talked about the passive income thing, because it's been a word that I try to avoid, that I always, no, it just doesn't feel right for me, the passive income thing. But it also helped me that I realized, well, I can have some of my stuff be online and have automatic marketing systems going on. And is it quote unquote passive income? Yeah, but my focus is that it's going to help a hell of a lot of people, and they're going to be able to access it 24 hours a day, you know, whenever the right time is for them.
Yeah, it's so much better to go from what do I give out to the world or what is the gift than just the monetary aspect of it. Even though at the beginning it seems like that's going to be your driver, but it's not going to be most of the times. It's basically what we talked about most during the convention. So there's some questions coming. So Camille just wrote they're probably similar. So I'm gonna read out the first one. I'm still distracted from Carla. I'm still distracted by the urgent stuff every day, taking my attention from the important, visioned, and purpose stuff. Any tips?
Well, first of all, is that you need to schedule in those other things, the non-urgent stuff, the important things, whether for you it's meditation or planning or acquiring skills long term. Because what happens is that if you schedule the other things first, you're just not going to have time to do the other things first. But if you schedule the most important things long term, there's a much higher chance that you'll find a solution, or even figure out that some of what you consider to be urgent stuff really wasn't. And it reminds me of one of my biggest mentors, John Carlton, that Tim also talked about, that he's learned a lot from. He mentioned during one of the mastermind meetings that when he started out with one of his colleagues and mentors, a guy called Gary Halbert, that they had planned to write for the whole day. And then they just went into the office, and help versus system came in and said, oh, the landlord came, and we're behind with rent, and there's these, and there's all kinds of things going on. And Herbert was just like, he was literally pushing her out the door, closing the door, saying, hey, I trust you're gonna solve it. He closed the door, he locked it, and said, okay, let's get to work. And it just turned out that everything turned out, it was dealt with. But he could have got completely caught up with it. But he had this mindset that they called it Operation Money Suck, is that if you focus on all those things, that's just gonna suck the money, the energy, and probably the fun out of your life or your business. So it's really important to schedule in those things that Carla mentioned first, and then take care of the urgent stuff. And then of course, we could go into a lot of in-depth thing about how to do that quicker, how to prioritize, etc. But that overall mindset is a really good one to start testing out.
Yeah, for me, it's also like I realize that I just have a certain amount of decision power during the day. So what I need to do is, if I have important things, and your vision and your purpose, I guess, is quite important to you, then I need to do it in the morning. Like, I need to do the stuff that is really, really important to me. I need to do it at the beginning, because during the day I just get drained by like a lot of small decisions I have to take. So I cannot go so much into depth with like stuff that is really close to my heart. And another thing is what I said at the beginning. What helps me very much is work when I feel inspired to work. And that sounds like, well, Kai, that is such a luxurious way of seeing it, because I have to work for so many hours during the day. Yes, I guess so. And at the same time, I realize that many people out there, they have a lot of time. So if you're one of those persons, I guess Carl is not, but in general, if you're somebody who has like already quite some time on their hands, also during the weekend, and you can feel like now is the time, just like jump up. And then we're again in this topic, like take action immediately and really go about it. I guess don't use your everyday life also as an excuse. That's also for me a very important one, and really take some time to do it. What really helped me with that is, because I can very much tune into that. Sometimes I have very busy periods of time. We talked about this in the group already, is having an accountability buddy. So what I do is with Matt, he was also at the Lifestyle Design Convention, and at the same time he's my fitness coach. So we just put up a Google sheet where we have the stuff that we have to do every day. And if I don't do it, if I, for example, don't do my 10-day meditation, so you can do that with very small stuff that has to be done every day, that is important for you, but sometimes just goes past. That really helps, because I have to pay him 50 francs, Swiss francs, which is like 40 euros, maybe $60 or something, which is quite a lot of money. And so every time I'm not doing it, I have to pay him, and he's going to do the most ridiculous stuff with it, and I'm doing the same. So that really helps to have somebody not doing it alone. So have somebody out there, and I mean the Lifestyle Design Convention Alumni Group is the perfect place to find somebody, like a mastermind friend, where you work out together, where you maybe schedule in half an hour every week or an hour every week where you discuss together the challenges. So please use the networks that you already have at hand. Maybe Sunday night will be a perfect time where you just schedule in 60 minutes, you sit down and you talk exactly about what you said, Carla, that you maybe feel like you don't have enough time, and then together work out the way how you will make enough time for it. And that's another thing. Anything to add, Michael, or should we go to the next one?
Well, actually, I just started, or rather restarted that, the accountability thing, and and the way my mind works is that for me, and this pretty much for me, and it's not something I recommend necessarily to other people, I needed to have another layer to it. So what I did, I realized that accountability is really important, and decided I was going to use it. And then I looked for, well, if I could find a setup to make it even more important, what would I need to do? So I looked for someone who had current experience and skills that were the skills that I needed to improve the most in right now, which in this case was copywriting. I mean, I've been studying copywriting with John Carlton and some of the best, but I haven't been really using it for a long time because I've been reliant on word of mouth mostly for the last couple of years. So I found a really good copywriter and was lucky, I guess, or whatever you want to call it, to find someone who is one of the new upcoming copywriters in the personal development field. So it's really awesome to have someone where it's not only accountability. I mean, that's fantastic in of itself. But hey, challenge yourself, like I talked about in my TED talk. You know, challenge yourself with, well, if I could do this 5% better, how would I? So don't let that be something that stops you from finding one, but say, hey, if I could find someone who has a skill or network or something else that I could benefit from, who could that person be?
Cool.
And of course, you have the forum to find someone, you know, or it could be someone who's good at something. So if your thing is to have a lot of ideas but less, you know, follow through on implementation, you know, maybe find someone who implements more but lacks ideas, for example.
Mm-hmm. So, Carla, specifically, you could also talk to who was like great action taker.
Well, so you could ask that on the forum.
Yeah, just ask at the forum. I think also from what you said that you mostly, when you're in your introverted time, when you're at your me time, your energy is quite low. I guess it's so you need to maybe talk about it. I don't know, because to me you've seemed very high energy when you were with people together and very creative also. So maybe you just need somebody to talk to really, and maybe like spill it out and structure it in a way so you know what your first action steps are going to be, because that's what we talked as well, right? You need to start some momentum, know what the next step is going to be. It's going to give you some peace of mind if you know what the first step will be to realizing your vision or your purpose. Yeah.
Or Carly, you could test doing just 1 or 2 minutes of the warm-up that you do when you do have your classes, your clients, you know, without breaking a sweat. And then once you sort of get connected to that energy, then transfer it into the me time or the planning time or whatever it is, and test out if that works. It might not, but hey, if you find out that it does work, it's a really, really good investment of 5 minutes of your time for something you can use for the rest of your life, potentially.
Cool. Good. Shall we go into the next one? Camille wrote, I always have 100 ideas at the same time. Do you go through this too, and how do you deal with it?
Oh, absolutely. For me, it was one of those things where, you know, like I think Morten said sometime during the convention that him and some of his friends called me the idea machine or something like that. And it was one of those things where I realized that, yes, it was my biggest strength, but on the other hand, it also sometimes turned into a weakness because I was off on creating new ideas instead of implementing the ones I already got. So what I did, and might not be applicable for you, I realized that, well, I should do more of a coaching-based thing where I could give out my ideas. So I didn't have to do them myself, but I could get the satisfaction and, of course, the case stories for working with people. So, for example, one of the best ideas I got in a long time, I gave to a client just 3 days ago, and he was ecstatic, and I really believe he's going to run with it. And even though, well, could I have made a lot of money, changed a lot of people's lives, etc., and, you know, really basked in my ego glory for doing it myself? Well, yeah, but who cares? Because he's going to do it now. So look for ways of how can you turn that into something that only empowers you. I mean, potentially. You know, the other thing could be if you don't feel comfortable or have the skills or the drive to coaching other people, is to use it as a way of adding value to your network. You know, it's the number one networking skill and mindset to have is how can I help other people? So, you know, that would be another way of using that skill to help other people. And having said that, there are some specific things you can do. Like, for example, if you Google something called the Carver Matrix, that's a really interesting way of deciding what to do first. That was created by my Navy SEAL soldier that I've experimented with that from time to time. It's very interesting. So just Google it. It's called CARVER matrix. Or for example, the woman who was behind a lot of the people who were in the movie and the book The Secret, Janet Atwood, she has something called a passion test, which is that you write down 10 things that you're passionate about, and you compare them one by one to see which one is going to end up first, second, etc. So you could do that for your ideas. Decide what are the 10 best ideas, and instead of going, okay, so what's the best, what's the second, you simply take them and compare them one by one. Okay, so is it going to the US or stay in my job? It's a lot easier if you contrast the two, because most of the time you're going to feel, oh, at least it's 52%, 48, so I'll go with that one. And that can be a really, really good model for gaining clarity.
Mm-hmm.
So that's two specific things. Just make sure that you find a way or somehow to make it into an advantage, because it can be such an energy drain, and it can be such a thing that takes out action time.
Yeah. For me, two things come to the mind. I mean, those ideas were great, and I think for me it's mostly that I have all these ideas, and sometimes I mean, that in itself is completely fine, right? But the suffering starts when you think like, well, but I don't follow through. So for me, also a big part was to let some ideas simply go. To know, like, I have this great idea, and I can, like, when I can feel inside like it is great, and at the same time I will not go through with it, because I have hundreds of such things. Like, there are always things that come to my mind. So to also realize that you will not simply not implement all of those ideas, and that's completely okay. It's fine. It's all right. And the second thing for me was to realize that I'm not the operation expert. Like, so I have these big ideas, or I have a lot of them, and at the same time I'm not really good at implementing and detail orientation, or when it comes, like, I have an idea about the newsletter but I don't want to write it myself, or I have an idea about the convention but I didn't want to do the detail oriented stuff. So what I found most useful is finding the people who are then implementing. So instead of thinking, well, I have to, what you said basically too, right? So you do nothing else than finding others who will implement it. And so find these kind of people, find people. For me, it was like Janina, who was very good at event management. And then there was Charlie, who had this excitement and this persistence to do a Facebook ad every day, and I just didn't feel like it. And that had the biggest leverage also in the success of the project, of the Lifestyle Design Convention, was me not doing everything by myself, having the idea and then giving it to somebody else. I also have now an assistant who like supports me in implementing stuff. And I know that Daniel Yordi, for example, even hired an operations manager for a lot of, like, a substantial amount of money for him. And he just said it freed him up because he could do what he could do best, and that was connecting with people, having meetings with people, connecting with them, and following, like, starting new ideas, and the rest other people took over. And today, with like the Elance and freelancer.com, all those portals, it is possible to find a good team for not such a huge amount of money, which I find very, very fascinating.
Oh yeah, easily. I mean, I'm just doing that actually these days. Is looking for either a half-time or maybe even a full-time assistant. And the extra thing that I might do is take a full-time one, because what that will do is that will force me to manifest enough of my ideas, because otherwise, that person is not going to have enough to do, and that's going to feel bad. So it's going to push me to get more of my stuff out there, and realizing, hey, this is not going to be perfect, but it doesn't have to. So having that as sort of extra leverage that, well, if I don't get these things out there, well, I'm gonna waste. It's not gonna be a lot of money, but it's not gonna be money wasted. It's gonna be leverage wasted. So that's another tactic of having an outside resource or outsourcer or virtual assistant, is that it keeps you to the fire, that you have to provide them with work to do. And then also what it also does, it opens up the possibility for me when I work with clients on the marketing and business of doing something for them, that instead of telling them what to do, I can actually do it for them, which has a higher value, which increases the potential of the prices I can charge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
And by the way, thanks a lot for the feedback that we got on the chat. People who are watching the replay won't be able to see that, but we got some really good feedback on the suggestions we had, and that's really cool.
Yeah. So I just want to encourage you once more, if you guys have any questions, please ask them. There is one last thing that I realized during this convention, was that if you have the ball rolling, so it takes a lot of effort to start a project, to start an idea becoming reality. But once it's started, once it's really going, stuff will happen automatically. As long as it is something that comes from your passion or your heart or whatever you want to call it, it's just some other stuff manifests. I can feel that right now after the convention. A lot of things feel much more effortless, and at the same time I feel I had to go through this also phase of sometimes suffering and pain to just make it happen. Sometimes I had to force it a little bit. That's at least how I felt at the time. And now after I've done it, after something manifested, after some external success also came with it, which took 1 year of really just working with not a lot of feedback whether this thing is going to be successful. So be persistent at the beginning and trust that everything will work out later. And I can say that from experience, that it will work out, that there will be so many chances coming that you don't even know. You don't even will guess what's happening after you've realized something that you really wanted to do, because people that are similar will reach out to you. They will help you in ways you've never imagined is even possible, and they just help you even though you think why do you invest so much time in me for free, or maybe not a lot of money or whatever. So the next challenge will be, if you do something where you help people or where you create something from your heart, people will reach out and you will have to manage all the help that is coming your way, which is also then the next challenge. So just make sure that you look forward to it's gonna be amazing once you've done something big. It's gonna be very, 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 very cool.
And maybe we should close out with some bad news, which is that your life will never stop meeting challenges.
Yeah.
But there's going to be a transformation of challenges, that they're going to be more and more constructive and be easier to deal with. But they probably won't stop. Or if you find a way to stop them, then let me know. I actually won't be interested, because I find that it's the challenges that gives me the opportunity to grow, and it's also the challenges that makes what I do be something where there's not a lot of competitors, because they get stopped by challenges, and I decide I want to thrive on them, and that's a really good mindset to have in your business or in your life, that you let your challenges be something that empowers you, and the only way to do that is to take action. And yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys out there. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for asking questions. Thank you so much, Michael, for being here once again for free, to spend your time
for
to
free?
invest your time.
What are you talking about?
And it's we're gonna see you, some of you guys actually pretty soon at the Lifestyle Design Convention cooking experience. I'm looking forward to see you there. And enjoy your time, and until next time. Bye-bye, guys.